Right, yes guys, hope you are all good, whatever time of the day you're watching this video. Thought I would give you all a bit of an update on the cut, how it's going so far. It's now coming up to the 3rd week of the cut, I think. Yeah, so I started cutting about, I want to say, 2 weeks ago. First week, I dropped a kilogram, just over a kilogram in the first week. And that was due to me dropping my, the sun's come out. It's nice for me, obviously it's a nice view, but you can't see me on the screen anymore, which isn't ideal. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, so not an issue. But yeah, the reason why I dropped a kilo in the first week was simply just due to me pulling my calories down from 5,600 on training days and 3,800 on rest days, down to 4,000, I think it was about 4,800 on training days and 3,250 on rest days. Then second week, I decided to drop my food down again. At this point, I've not made any changes to my cardio or steps. I was still doing, I think the first week I kept cardio and steps at 20 minutes 5 times per week and steps at 12,000 minimum steps daily. Then the second week, alongside dropping my food down to 4,600 on training days and 3,100 on rest days, I decided to increase the daily step minimum daily step count to 13,000. Then third week, because I dropped about a kilo, just shy of a kilo, maybe about a kilo in that second week of the cut, that is. So my starting body weight of that week was then 79 kilograms. Or I think like 79.2, something like that, just above 79. So then going into the third week, I decided to leave food as it is for now. It's currently Thursday. We are training the second upper session of the week. So yeah, I've left food as it is, still 4,600 training days, 3,100 rest days, but I've increased the cardio to 25 minutes 5 times per week, and I've increased the minimum step count to 14,000 per day. However, some days I have actually done 15,000 just due to me needing to walk around to places. So can't really avoid that, but it is what it is. That's only an extra 50,000 steps. That's about 50 calories burned if you're walking at a decent speed. So yeah, overall, how's it going? I'm actually feeling really good. It's very nice to not need to eat so much food. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still eating a ridiculous amount of food. The fact that I'm losing weight eating this amount of food is absolutely obscene, but I'm just someone who burns through food. My body just blitzes through it, so it's just what I need to do. It's what it is. But yeah, I'm sure you all probably know that by now after watching however many full days of eating I've done. So I still need to do a rest day full day of eating, actually, to be fair. So I might get that filmed. Yeah, I'll get that filmed next week. I'll get a rest day full day of eating out there, which will be, I say exciting, it's not going to be anywhere near as exciting as the training days, considering this food is so much lower. However, that is necessary if you are carb cycling properly. Your carbs of course need to be a lot lower on the rest days, but as a result of that will also mean your calorie intake is considerably lower on those days as well. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm definitely quite a bit hungrier on those rest days, but it's still not to the point where it's actually making me, lose focus in my days or really start to distract me. I'm definitely not at the point where I'm thinking about food all the time like I was at the back end of my prep for my last few shows last year. That was pretty rough. I think the lowest my food got to was 1,900 on rest days and 2,100 on training days. And it got to the point where whenever I would walk through a Lidl or any kind of supermarket for that matter, I remember I used to look at stuff and just know full well that I wouldn't buy it, especially not eat it. But I just used to look at it and imagine myself eating it, which was really weird. There was one time, I think it was on a Friday night, I was in Lidl doing a bit of a food shop, and I remember walking down the sauce aisle just staring at these sauces, just the Nando's hot sauce and even low sugar ketchup, little things that was I look at now and I think it's just a bit of sauce. What's the big deal? I wasn't even looking at donuts or chocolate bars or ice cream, anything like that. I was just looking at sauces, which is really weird because I still had some sauces on my food, but I was just imagining how much more sauce I could put into my diet if I was on more food. And I remember, I think about half an hour had passed and I'd just been stood on this sauce aisle, staring at the sauces. So yeah, that is the kind of reality of if you are in an extreme cut for a show prep, you do end up doing some weird shit when you get really hungry. So yeah, we're definitely nowhere near that point at this stage, which is good, because that point is pretty brutal on you, on the old mental state. But yeah, in terms of how my training's going, honestly, I'm still progressing at pretty much the exact same rate that I was throughout the off season. My leg press is still going up a lot, because I definitely think I've just gotten better at the movement. I definitely highlight a lot on the leg press, because that is probably one of my favourite movements at the moment. I'm getting on so well with it. All my isolation movements are still really good. I'm still getting a really good pump. And even my presses are all still going up at a very good rate. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. Can't complain one bit. The only thing that I've noticed is taking a bit of a hit, but I don't think that's due to the I don't think that's due to me being in a calorie deficit now. I think I've just kind of slightly tightened up my execution on RDLs. I've noticed I'm definitely placing a lot more emphasis on trying not to let my back round as much by keeping my chest higher, which has meant that I've dropped like a rep on my top set, but it's what it is, it's only a rep. If it means I've got better execution, then that's still more tension on the target muscles, which is glutes and hamstrings, and your erectors too, for stability. So yeah, exciting stuff. Today we're training upper, as I said before. I don't know why I'm waffling on about legs, because completely irrelevant. Well, it's not relevant. I'm talking you through the process of me cutting down and how that's impacting everything else in relation to how it was when I was bulking up. But yeah, the upper session today, a bit more of a push focused one. You've seen it before on the channel, so I'm not going to delve too much into it. I'll put some clips up of me training so you can see what is going on. And yeah, I'll catch you in the gym. Adios. Right, yes guys, as you can see, starting out with the prime lateral raise, and as the weeks go on, the more I'm starting to warm up to this lateral raise machine. I definitely used to prefer the Life Fitness one that I used to do up at Kings, but as the weeks go on and I kind of figure out my posture and positioning on it, it's feeling a lot more comfortable, to be fair. What's helped for me with this one is really trying to keep my chest up kind of as high as I can, and sort of wedging myself as far back into the seat as I can, and making sure that my elbows are placed as close to the far end of the pads. Well, the far end, the end of the pad that is closest to where the back pad is. And that for me is keeping the elbow pads, making sure they're not sliding down my arms, which is an issue that I've had with certain lateral raise machines in the past, like I think it's the Nautilus Inspiration one. That one, it was always sliding everywhere. But yeah, getting into more of a groove with this one. So did 3 sets. Top set, I actually progressed a rep, which I was very happy with. And then both of the back off sets, I maintained my reps, which also very happy with, because execution felt spot on pretty much for most of these. So can't really complain one bit. Then after that, moved on to the meat and potato movements of the session, or just the main compound movements. Starting out with the prime incline press, and I went up a little bit in weight on this. So I went from adding an extra 0.5 kilo on the top peg to a 1.25 kilo. So it's only adding maybe an extra 1.5 kilos total. But when you are genuinely pushing yourself to your limits, that extra 1.5 kilos, that can really make a difference. Like when you are starting out a new movement, you can maybe add 2.5, 5, sometimes even 10 kilos if it's like a big leg compound movement at a time for the first couple of weeks, and you'll progress and match reps just because you're kind of learning the movement and getting used to it. But when it gets to the point where you've been doing a movement for months on end, every single extra bit of weight that you add to that feels like you are adding like an extra 10 kilos each side, even if it is something as little as a 0.5 kilo plate. Or maybe I'm exaggerating a bit. 0.5 kilo plate, you can't always notice them, but when you genuinely are training truly to failure, that extra rep can be very, very challenging to hit. So yeah, I got 5 reps on the top set, and the last one was a little bit too scrappy for my liking. It was a bit like one arm is going up and then the other arm's going up trying to catch it, and I'm kind of leading with my stronger arm, and it's, yeah, not ideal, but it is what it is. I still got the rep, and the goal is going to be just to tidy that up next week, probably match the 5 reps on that. Then with the back off set, I kept the weight the same, and I got 7, so the same reps I did last week, but they were a lot cleaner. They were less scrappy than they were last week, so I'm very happy with that as well. Then after this, moving on to the overhead press movement of the session, which I'm doing on the Strive pin loaded machine. And I've been getting on with this a lot. Previously to this, I was using the Jim Lecco plate loaded overhead press and taking more of like a regular grip. So basically just making sure that my arms aren't like neutral, making sure that my palms are overhand, you could say. Whereas with this one, I'm going with a neutral grip, And in all fairness, I've always kind of just preferred doing neutral grips with overhead presses. Just feels a lot more comfortable on my shoulder, and I also kind of feel like I'm getting more pec out of it as well. So yeah, I did 2 sets on here as per usual, and I kind of messed up a little bit on the top set because I placed my seat positioning 1 notch too high basically, which meant that the range of motion that I was getting was a little bit too much. It was kind of taking me out of my active range of motion, shifting it a little bit into the passive, which meant that my delt was kind of like having to internally rotate a little bit and kind of slightly shrug a bit just to fully get the full range. So I corrected that on the second set, and as you can see, this is a lot more of a comfortable range of motion for me. I'm still getting the full range of motion through the delt, but without placing an unnecessary strain on my shoulder. Despite having it set up a little bit incorrectly, I still managed to match reps on the top set. And then with the back off, I matched reps again. And the last rep of the back off was definitely a grinder, but I did get there in the end, as you can see. Bit scrappy, a little bit too much shaking through the upper body, but still got it in the end, so can't really complain one bit. Ultimately, so far, throughout the deficit at the moment, I've maintained or improved my training performance on almost every single exercise, which I'm very happy about. And if you're doing things properly in a deficit, aka you're not running yourself into the ground too quickly, not cutting your food too quickly, setting yourself up really well throughout it, that should be the case. Your training performance should not be negatively impacted at least for the first 5 weeks, let's say, until you start really shedding some weight off. Then you might notice a little bit on your compound movements, but a lot of that really can be mental too. Like if you approach these sets thinking, right, I'm lighter in body weight and I'm eating less food, so I'm less fueled, I now need to do less to accommodate for that, you're going to do less, and as a result you're going to be way more likely to lose muscle, if not build any muscle, when you could still be building muscle in this period. Because especially like myself, I'm eating so much food at this stage that of course I can build muscle. I'm eating 700 grams of carbs. That's plenty of fuel for the session. Even though I am still dropping weight, I'm still very fueled. So it's definitely possible. You just need to approach your sessions with the right mentality and not give in to the deficit basically. After we wrapped up on the shoulder press, then moved on to the pec deck, which felt great. I matched my reps on the first 2 sets, then on the back off set, so the third set, I went up a rep, which I think I'm doing my second set here. It's an absolute grinder of a last rep. It's very hard to get it short, even though I do have the setting on cam 5, which does place it a little bit more tension biasing in the lengthened position. It's still hard to get short. It's never going to fully make it fully easy in the short, because the whole premise of a pec deck is to get your pec very short and contracted. That is the whole goal of the movement. So yeah, you can't really out resistance profile your way out of that position. Then that is pretty much all of the pushing work of the session wrapped up, aside from the tricep extension, which I'll finish with at the end. So then we're moving on to the rows. So starting out with the single arm lat biased row on the Cybex Eagle machine, which I don't know if I haven't raved enough about this, but it's one of the best lat biased row machines I've ever used. Set up very well. You can adjust the chest pad very far back so you can get the full range of motion and still line everything up properly, so that it's actually bringing your elbow down into your hip as opposed to just sort of back, which kind of just recruits a bit more of the ray delt area. You can really bias your lat with this, which is very nice, and you can also raise the seat up nice and high so you can really get that elbow down into the hip. But it's also very nice because it very slightly diverges just enough so that you can wrap your lat around your spine and get it fully contracted, whereas some of the back machines, if you try and do a single arm lat biased row on them, they just diverge so much that you basically just turn it into a ray delt focus row, which is still effective, but it's not what you want on this kind of exercise. So yeah, I did 2 sets on that Cybex Eagle lat row. Top set, I got up, I think an extra 3/4 of a rep. I didn't get the last one fully contracted, but still went really well, so I can't complain. Then I maintained my reps on the back off set as well, so I got 11 with that, with the 150 on the pin. It's obviously not 150 kilos, because you can never judge your strength based on a cable or a machine, because the actual resistance is not what it says on the numbers. It's completely dependent on the number of pulleys within the machine. If the cable is very thick and it's constantly catching on the thing of, I don't know what it's called, the little thing that it slides against on the pulley, that's going to create more friction, and therefore it's going to increase the resistance. So you could have 2 cable stacks put next to each other with the exact same model of cable stack, but if one cable that's on there is been, let's say, replaced, and it's replaced with a thicker cable and that's catching against the thing, that's going to create more resistance, so your strength is going to be different on each of those cables, so you can't truly assess your strength off those. That is why when people do, let's say, strongman competitions or powerlifting competitions, it's all done with free weights, it's all done with barbells and plates. It's not done with any sort of, even like a plate loading machine. The way that those are angled, every brand of equipment does it differently in terms of where they actually place the loading pegs, which changes how heavy the same load feels. Anyways, back on topic, I'm basically doing the same kind of exercise because it's the same sort of plane of motion for this single arm lat biased row as I was doing on the Cybex Eagle one. I just do like to slightly vary the angle by pulling from a little bit further down, so I'm kind of just pulling straight down and back as opposed to pulling from a little bit of a higher point like you are with the Cybex Eagle lat row, which is why I do my last set on the, I think it's a Nitrum cable. It's really good regardless. You just have to kind of angle your body so that you are pulling your elbow straight back and not remotely out to the side, otherwise the cable can kind of slip off like the hook that it's attached to, basically, which is not what you want and is not good for the machine, that either. Then the next back movement that we're moving on to is the Prime chest supported row, one of the best upper back movements I've ever used. I love this machine. I was doing it up at King's and I'm also kept it in the program as I then moved to EP. And over the last couple of weeks, even while I've been dieting, I have been progressing my strength on it, but today I was a little bit too ambitious. I added a little bit of weight when I probably shouldn't have added it, and my form was starting to slip a little bit. I noticed I was starting to really kind of want to just lean back too much and not keep my chest on the pad. So next week I'll probably keep the same load and just try and tighten the form up a little bit. I think I got 5.5 reps, so I'll try and get 6 but keep the form tightened. If it's not gonna go, then it's not gonna go, and I'll just have to back it down a little bit for the weeks following after that. But the second set I'm showing you here is actually my third set, and with this one I basically took all the weight off the other loading pegs and placed it all on the top peg, which makes it hardest in the stretch position. And I've also took like I think a total of 20 kilos off compared to the top set, and I basically matched reps on this, which I'm very happy with. And the main difference between this movement and the previous movement that I was doing is literally just the elbow path with a lat biased row like I was doing previously. The whole goal is to drive your elbow down and into your hip to get your lat fully contracted, whereas the goal with an upper back focus row is to actually flare your elbows out and kind of pinch your shoulder blades together as you are kind of getting to what you would call the top of the rep of this exercise, basically getting the upper back fully contracted and shortened. That is the goal with this. And it's primarily going to be easier to do that if you do these upper back focused exercises dual arm as opposed to single arm. Whereas with a single arm lat biased row, obviously you want to do that single arm because you can slightly angle your body so you can get that elbow more closer into the hip and get the lat more contracted as opposed to if you were doing it dual arm. And that is especially the case if you are somebody who has a wider rib cage and shorter arms. It's going to be better for you to basically set this up with single arm as opposed to if you were somebody who has longer arms and a thinner rib cage. You're probably okay to do it dual arm if you wanted, but it's completely dependent on your personal proportions of your actual physique. Then last movement of the session is the tricep extension, and I've definitely improved my form a lot on this over the past year or so, and my triceps have responded very well as a result. And this felt great. 3 sets on here, pyramiding down in weight and up in reps as we go along, and just making sure that I try not to actively recruit my chest, front delts, or even my core to try and help with it, and I'm just keeping it solely accurate on the triceps. So yeah, great session. Do a little bit of posing after this in the posing room, hit some men's physique shots, which don't do too often. So yeah, very happy. Very good session. I'll hit a quick men's physique pose one for show you what we're working with. 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks is the diagram. guys, apologies. Let's get the aircon off so you can actually hear me. Yes guys, hope you can see me okay. I'm stuck on a traffic jam on the M60 as I drive home. I think they've decided that they want to close all the lanes but the right lane, which is annoying because now I'm stuck at a standstill at, what is it, 20 to 11? It's no ideal time to get stuck at a standstill, but here we are. Anyways, regarding this session, in terms of how it went, I think I covered little bits here and there in the voiceover, but I'm pretty happy with how that went. In terms of lateral raises, the exercise we started on, top set, did I progress that? I can't remember now. I can only remember the last couple exercises. The first one I've kind of forgotten about. I think I progressed up a rep on the first set and then I maintained on the second 2 sets. I want to say that's right, I'll double check, but I'm not too sure to be fair. Either way, they all felt really good. I remember the connection on each rep was fantastic, so yeah, happy with that. Then onto the prime incline, pretty happy with that. I think I went up a smidge bit of weight and I dropped a rep and they were a bit like not the best on that top set. Second set, I just matched reps with all the same weight as last week, but they were better. Like, it was pretty much spot on when it comes to execution, which I'm happy with. And to be honest, the rest of the stuff in the session went pretty well. I set the wrong setting on the first set, the shoulder press, but the rest of it went pretty well. Well, pec deck, I think I maintained the first 2 sets, then third set, upper rep, which, hell yeah. Then, Savex Eagle lat row, I think upper rep, or maybe 3/4, yeah, no, upper full rep on the top set, back off maintained, and I maintained my set on the, I think is it a Nitrum seated cable lat row? I can't remember what brand that seated cable row is, but that felt good. Then onto the prime row, struggled a bit with that one, just to maintain from basically what I got last week. A bit ambitious, loading up a little bit extra weight on the top set. And then tricep extensions just felt great, got a good connection, and then did it, obviously, as you saw, did a bit of posing. Happy with that. Although it's a little bit hard to pose when at least it's quite hard to hit the men's physique like side shots when you've got a really pumped up tricep for some reason, which a bit weird. I don't think I've ever had that before, but yeah, I was kind of struggling with that today, which is interesting, something to be mindful of. But yeah, in terms of the session, pretty happy with how it went. Not one of those crazy good sessions where everything progresses, but even like, I don't blame that on the deficit, because sometimes in the off season, like, I won't have always the best sessions all the time. Like, the last couple of days, sleep has been not the best. I think I've had 6 hours. Yesterday I got like 7 hours, which is pretty good. Well, it's pretty good. It's for my routine and stuff, it's pretty good. Then the 2 days before that I got 6 hours and they weren't very good. Like, I woke up a few times in the night because my family were getting in from the airport and stuff. I just woke up because of it. So it is what it is. In spite of all that, I'm happy with how the session went. Managed to graft through the last couple of days despite feeling knackered. So yeah, in terms of all the cutting and stuff, it's going well. Not much else to it other than I'm just getting it done, which you just need to get it done. You don't need to think about how you feel. You don't need to think about your hunger. You don't need to think about feeling a bit fatigued. You just need to get done what you need to get done to a very good standard of quality and forget about it, really. Not forget about it, but you don't need to think so hard about it. You just need to do it a lot of the times. If you know what you're doing, that is. If you don't know what you're doing and you want to make it as simple for yourself as possible, where you literally just need to basically know what to do and just do it, get a coach or someone who knows what they're doing to just help you out with it. I promise you, you don't want to be thinking like, how do I do this? Like, do I need to lower my steps now? Do I need to eat less? Do I need to do more in the gym? Just, you don't want those thoughts. You just want, right, now I need to do this, now I need to do that. And then you crack on, you get it done until it's time for another change to your diet or your cardio or training, whatever. And then you make the change and then you crack on for another week or however long you can, just rinse and repeat pretty much. That's how you want to be doing a proper cut. If you don't know how to do that, I'm not blaming you. It's a fucking skill and it takes years of knowledge to learn how to do that. If you have the money there, fast track it, get a coach and just get to your goal faster. You don't want to be spinning your wheels just trying to figure stuff out. Unless you're like less than 18 years old, you don't want to be spinning your wheels trying to sort stuff out, like trying to figure everything out basically. Obviously if you're under 18, you're probably still in college or school, you're not going to have the money for a good coach, at least. So at that point, I'd probably just try and absorb as much knowledge as you can from podcasts, YouTube, guys who know what they're doing and have done it before. They probably document a lot of it on like their Instagrams and stuff. Stalk that shit and learn everything. Watch how they train, watch what they eat, stuff like that. Obviously, you don't want to copy the diet or the training program bang on, but you can see how they, let's say, execute movements in the gym. You can see the kind of foods that they're eating. These are things that you want to pay attention to if you want to get into this stuff, but you're young and you don't have the money to learn from someone. So yeah, bear that in mind. Anyways, I'm gonna firm the rest of this traffic jam and then get home, eat my post-workout meal, and I need to do a bit of meal prep. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next video where I'll probably update you on how well the cut is going, because it's going to go fantastic. So yeah, adios.